everybody, and welcome back to the Hallmarkies podcast. We have a very special episode today, another one of our fun ranking episodes. But before we get to that, I'm Jess, your host, and we also have Kaycee with us today.
Hi, guys.
And our very special guest of whose movies we'll be ranking, Jill Wagner. Thanks so much for coming on, Jill.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Basically, how this works is we have 9 of your movies that we'll be ranking.
Okay.
Starting from 9 to number 1. We did leave off 1, A Harvest Wedding, because neither of us have actually seen it.
And that's probably most people's favorite.
Well, it's airing on Hallmark next week.
Next week, we were like, come on, Hallmark. You couldn't have coordinated with us, moved it a week earlier.
No, I seriously have no idea if that's everybody's favorite. I just with you.
I was like, oh man, I feel like we have to really watch this now.
No, but I really do like that one. I love working with Victor, so it's one of my favorites. But I'll let everybody else watch and rank as they will.
Okay. I do know it was well received by Rachel and Amber, who are 2 of our other hosts. They recapped it back in 2017 when it first came out, and they both liked it. I do know that. So
good.
I found the old podcast episode. So, but yeah, so we'll start with number 9 and work our way up.
Yes, and of course, all your movies are fabulous. So for me, it was kind of like, what am I going to watch first?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So that's kind of how I had to do that. And my ranking changed several times because I was texting Jess okay, this is my ranking. And then I'd write my notes. I'm like, oh, no. I need to move this one up and move this one back down. So it was this was hard. This is really hard. But my number 9 is Christmas Cookies. Okay. Love Wes Brown. We love the whole save the blank trope. Which makes it kind of sweet and kind of it's just a Hallmarky thing,
Right.
It just wasn't as memorable to me. I didn't remember it as much, and the proposal was a bit awkward. Just a wee bit.
No, it's funny because you do these things and just by having done so many and watching so many, you kind of start to see the similarities in the movies and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I remember in that one in particular, Wes and I had a bit of a bet going on as to who could not say Christmas cookies in the scene because it was written so many times. Mm-hmm. And who could not eat a Christmas cookie. And of course I wound up eating all the Christmas cookies, which I had no problem with. I mean, yeah. It's an excuse for me to eat cookies because I have to, right?
Oh yeah.
Yes. I have to. But it was just funny with us because we were just like, oh gosh, can we not say Christmas cookies again? Or cookie jar. It was cookie jar. The town of Cookie Jar too. I bet him he bet me that he would never say cookie jar. And I think if you watch the movie, he doesn't say cookie jar.
Oh.
I think he found a way out of it. And I had to always say cookie jar. He always threw it back on me.
I feel like now we need to rewatch and confirm this. Yeah, but Christmas Cookies was also my number 9. I thought you and Wes had really good performances and there was these cute and fun moments, but I wanted more of it. I wish the script had given you more of those moments is what I wanted from it.
We fight for those. I mean, me in particular, because I have a background of comedy and that's kind of where I started, especially with improv. I'm always improving something. I'm sure if you talk to directors and producers that have worked with me, they're like, oh, Wagner and her improving, but that's just my background and that's kind of my comfort zone. So I do try to slide in a lot of that comedy and little quirky, witty little banter, whether it makes it or not, who knows, but I try. I just want you to know I try.
I appreciate it. I love, Kaycee can attest to this. I love the banter. I'm all for the comedy in these movies. So when it's there, I'm happy.
I'm so glad to hear you say that because I'm hoping that Hallmark take, instead of, just seeing a giggle every once in a while, I want people to belly laugh. I want them to really, really enjoy these movies. I think we're at a time in the culture, thank you, husband. I have pregnancy brain. I think we're at a time in our culture that we could really use that. And so hopefully you'll get to see more laughs on Hallmark.
Yeah, don't worry. We have one movie where we're going to talk about how I had to stop because I was laughing. So we'll get to that.
Good. I like to hear that.
But let's move to number 8. So number 8 for me was Autumn Dreams, which I think was your first Hallmark movie.
It was my very first one. Yeah. It was called Country Girl. And it's so funny because I always remember it as Country Girl, which was the working title.
Yeah.
But Autumn Dreams was the title that they wound up with.
Yeah. And I really liked that it was a more unique storyline than some of the ones we see now with them having been married as kids. They thought they got annulled and then coming back and, oh, wait, the paperwork is not together.
Right.
And especially her being kind of this science type person in a country world, because that's me. I'm a chemist and I'm from the country. So
nice.
That was like my kind of character. The only thing I was like, I felt so bad for their fiancés the whole time. Like,
oh no, I know. Okay, so I'll tell you guys a little something about, first of all, that was my first movie, and a lot of people don't know this, but when I started doing Hallmark films, the reason I started doing Hallmark films was because my grandmother, I was talking to her one day and I said, what have I not done in my career that you want to see me do? And she was like, oh, well, I just love those Hallmark movies. And I said, you want me to do a Hallmark movie? Grandma gets it. So we got, I think they sent me like 3 scripts. And at the time, my grandmother didn't have a computer. So I printed them off. I mailed them to her in North Carolina. She read them. She's a speed reader. So I think she read a script in like 30 minutes. She read all 3 of them, and Country Girl, which wound up being Autumn Dreams, was the one that she picked. And so I, in particular, have just a soft spot in my heart because that was kind of the beginning of all of this. And she really did orchestrate all of that. I mean, she completely turned my career around. I was doing action films. I was doing, vampire stuff and like darker roles. And she just saw something. She was like, I think you need to play more characters like yourself. And so there's that. And then the scene where I had to actually break up with Joe was, this was my first Hallmark film. So I didn't really, I just would try to be as real as I possibly could. I think that's what you can expect. That's what kind of actor I am. So I took the scene and the words that I was saying seriously. And I remember I did the first take, I let it go. I mean, for me, if you're calling off an engagement, you're hurting somebody that you loved, and it's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. So I remember the scene ended and the director comes up to me. He was like, well, that was brilliant. He was like, but way too sad. He was like, I'm back there crying. He was like, this is Hallmark land. We cannot be that sad. And it completely blew my mind as an actor. I was like, wait a minute. So you don't want that real? Like, you want me to like sugarcoat it? I was like, how do you sugarcoat somebody telling them that you don't want to marry them anymore? It was so hard for me. I just remember that in particularly, I had to take a minute because I was like, okay, I have to wrap my brain around this because I didn't know. I just, hadn't experienced working for Hallmark before. So now I know Hallmark world is still, it can't be that dark, right? And it can't be that sad because nobody wants to see that. So I had to learn how to really kind of lighten things up in my acting, which, because I was so dark, and I had the stuff that I had done was so dark before. So that was really hard for me, to be honest with you. It was really hard, that scene.
Yeah, that's actually, we've talked to Jen Lilly
I was thinking
before
the same
too,
story.
and she had told us a very similar story where she was like very into that very sad moment and was crying because she came from the soap world, and the director was like,
"Yep,
no, calm down."
Yeah, they were like, "We're not trying to be sad over here. We just want you to break it off and tell him he'll find somebody else and give him a popsicle and he's on his way." Like, you know, so
Yeah.
it's really interesting because if you're kind of trained a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just all about being as real as I can be to what I know and my own experiences. And I actually, oddly enough, went through that same experience where I had to call off my engagement, and it was right around that same time. So it was
Oh,
real to me. It was really real.
yeah.
So yeah, it was difficult. I mean, it was
Yeah.
probably one of the most difficult scenes I've ever done. And I don't know that I actually got it to where it was softer. I don't know. I mean, I just was kind of all over the place. I was like, I don't know how to break up with people and not be sad, you know? Like, I don't know. How do you do that?
Yeah. I think no, that Autumn of Dreams is higher in my ranking, but I will say, since we're talking about it, I remember being very moved by that moment.
I don't really know which scene they wound up using. I need to go back and watch it because I can't remember, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, my sadness, what they wound up using, because I just don't know that I ever gave them a happy breakup. You know, I can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, my number 8, this one was really hard for me, but it was Maggie's Christmas Miracle. I don't really know why it's number 8. I really love the movie. I love Karen Kingsbury. I do. I love Karen Kingsbury. I read her books when I was in junior high and high school. I remember reading the book Maggie's Christmas Miracle and the Red Glove series. So I guess my excuse is I like the books better, maybe.
I think it's really hard to do a movie after the book because there are so many details. I always know I like the book better, and almost every single time they do that. And it's just because you can fit more in, and actual your imagination of what the characters are and the world is almost always better than what they can come up with. You know, I won't say 100% of the time, but a solid 80, you know, because our minds are incredible things, and the world in which you can create is just limitless. Whereas, you know, we have a budget. Right. Hallmark, we have a budget, and there's only so much we can do. Right. So, but yeah, I mean, I love Karen. I got to meet her and her whole family on set, and they're just top A quality people, really, really nice people.
And she and her son wrote the script, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right? So I did know that, like, it wasn't that different. It's just, you know, like you said, with books, there's just so many more details and just so much more.
The world is just richer, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah, for sure. But I mean, I love the snow globe. I love the ending where they realize that he's Cade. He just got called Kaycee all his, like, I guess, high school or whatever. And then the whole surprise for the son at the end with the Christmas tree, because he wanted a real Christmas tree. So, like, it was so sweet. It's just, I don't know. It's my number 8.
I mean, I think for me, Maggie's Christmas Miracle is one of my favorites because I am a Christian, and we were able to bring God into it. And I thought that his letter, it was the first time when I read the script, I actually cried in reading it. And normally I can keep it together, but I did cry on this one because, you know, some of the things that a child must want to talk to God about. And seeing that this beautiful little child was hurt by looking at his mother and thinking she's sad and I don't want her to be sad, and thinking, like, probably a lot of kids feel like that. You don't, you know, and now being a mom, it just, oh my gosh. So I think it was the actual message of the film was one of my favorites because of that.
Yeah. My number 7 is Christmas in Evergreen, Letters to Santa. Love the cast. You can't go wrong with Evergreen. You just can't go wrong with it. I loved also this really sweet story, but there were, like, a ton of interrupted kisses in this one.
3.
Oh, guys.
That's a ton. That's a ton.
Guys, you guys, if you could be on set with me and just hear the things that come out of my mouth when I have an interrupted kiss, because it's either a phone call or somebody walks in or that. And I'm like, can we just let them kiss? Like, can we just let them kiss?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
2 adults, they're having a moment. Let them kiss. And I'll be danged if I'm kissing my husband and the phone rings and I pick up the phone. And if he picks up the phone, he wouldn't be my husband. You know what I mean? Like, it's another thing I fight against these things, guys, but I never win.
I feel like they have kind of stepped away from that a little bit in 2021. We've seen, or at least we've seen more kisses in the movies and less interrupted ones. So
yes.
Yeah.
Or the phone will ring and they'll silence it and then they'll keep going.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. I mean, you got to think of it this way. It's like, it's in reality. I mean, I like to think of Hallmark movies as modern day fairy tales. That's really what they are.
Oh.
I mean, you're watching a fairy tale. So I know that the world, it should be squeaky clean and pretty and but to a certain point, you have to add reality in there because we have to relate to these people and their lives. So I know Chris and I on Mystery 101, Chris Palaha, we really fight to keep everything super real. And I think that's what kind of actor he is. And that's also what kind of actor I am. It's just keep it as real as possible,
Yeah, for sure.
all right, my number 7 was Pearl in Paradise. And I think I'm going to get hate mail for not having it higher.
Because I'm really surprised on that one. Now Christopher Palaha, I brought up his name.
I know. You jinxed it. See, no. But honestly, there's nothing wrong with this one. I just had other ones that I liked better. I think the storyline can be a hard one to pull off with like you're just searching for something the whole time. But I think this movie was successful in that because I actually recently saw a movie with a very similar plot on a different network and it was horrible. So
yeah, and it was hard. And if you guys could see Chris and I, when we work through a script and how much we do, that is work of making it like, hey, does this make sense? Okay, so wait a minute. If this doesn't make sense, then this goes all the way back to page 3. So now we need to change that. And I mean, we're doing, we do that because we want the movie to be really good. And I'm sure the director and producers hate us for that. We do it anyway. Yeah. I do it because I want the movie to be good. And I think I'm a pretty good judge of a movie. I'm also a viewer and I'm also part of their audience. So I judge it like I would watching a film, that I'm not in. So yeah, we worked really hard on that one. And look, I mean, we show up and it's Fiji and beautiful. I mean, the Fiji is its own character in the film. So I love when you have that in a film, when you actually have a location. And for us, actually have a location that is so beautiful and unique in its own right. And for us, it was great because I've shot so many movies in Vancouver, and not that Vancouver isn't incredible. It is. And it's got a lot of different things. I mean, you could basically film anything here and get away with it because of the landscape and the cities and all that. But it was just, you couldn't have filmed Pearl in Paradise in Vancouver.
No.
Right.
It needed its own spot and the people were so lovely. I had my own little vacation after we filmed, and a girlfriend of mine flew in with a suitcase full of flip-flops and toothbrushes, and we went to the local villages and gave it out to the kids, and we were welcomed with open arms, and we got to break bread with the people and went to one of their local churches on Sunday, and they sang. Did they sing?
Oh, that's so awesome.
Gosh. I just sat there and closed my eyes and I was just like, I'm in heaven. Like they're just the angels. And they're not looking at anything. They're not reading anything. Like these people just know and they're doing harmonies with each other. And I'm not talking about the choir. I'm talking about the people in the pews, right?
Mhm.
The congregation.
Yeah.
It was incredible. It was incredible.
Wow.
So I have a love, just because of my experience with shooting that movie. It's all wrapped up in Fiji and the culture and everything. It was such a great experience.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow. That
absolutely.
sounds amazing.
Yeah. If you ever get a
Amazing.
chance to go to Fiji, and the people, like I said, the people are so lovely. Like, I was like, y'all want to come back and live on my farm? everybody and just sing to me. Please. They're magical. They're awesome.
Yeah. Too fun.
Have you got a Hallmarky, Hardy, Postable, or Sleuther in your life? Are you looking for the perfect gift for your loved one? Look no further than the Hallmarkies podcast merch store. We have designs from artists like Jessica Miller and Carrie at Hallmark Comics. At the store, you can declare your team, like hashtag Team Lucas or hashtag Team Nathan. And you can also have your hashtag shirts with hashtag postables, hashtag Hardies, hashtag goodies. We've got the Love Me Like series where you can get designs such as Love Me Like Nick Loves Aurora. And there's also great stories beyond Hallmark, like Anne and Gilbert from Anne of Green Gables, or even Han and Leia from Star Wars. And it's not just shirts, but notebooks, mugs, pillows, and cell phone cases. Your support of the merch store helps keep the podcast going, and we are so appreciative. There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or follow the link in the description. That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
My number 6 was Christmas Wishes and Mistletoe Kisses.
Oh, that was mine too.
And so we know this one's based on a book, and I have read the book. I actually prefer the movie to the book.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, which is pretty unusual for me because I'm an avid reader and I usually like the books better. But this one I actually liked the movie better.
Well, that's good. We did a good job then. And I have not read the book, so I have nothing to compare it to.
And for Christmas 2019, I think it's when it came out, it was like just shy of my top 10, and that was out of like 40 some films. So it was pretty high up there. I really like the energy and comedy that you brought with your character. And I actually really like the conflict in this one, that he didn't want to be distracted because it would lead to laying off people at Christmas time. I thought that was very realistic and very valid of a conflict. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, and that's important too. I think about like, what is the conflict? And I'm big on like, why does the girl not want to go out with the guy, right? There's always like, well, my career. I'm like, no. I'm like, first of all, I have a million single girlfriends, okay? And if a billionaire came into their life with hot and nice, they are not saying, no, you know what? I am too busy. I have a career. No, it doesn't even have to be a billionaire. Just if a nice guy comes around, they're like, yeah, okay, I'll go out with him, you know? So I think in our day and age, I think we have to start thinking about more realistic, again, I'm with the realistic, but more realistic ways for these women to not, because I don't want them all to come off as, because you can have it all. You can work, you can have a career and have a boyfriend. Like, I mean, you know what I mean? Men do it all the time.
Right.
Women should be able to do it too. So you can do it all. We can have kids, we can be single moms, we can have a career, we're incredible. We are.
Yes.
So anyway.
Yeah, that was my number 6 too. No, so this is kind of funny. It took me a hot minute to realize that the actor was Warner from Legally Blonde.
Yes. That was the first thing I knew about him. I was like, oh my God, it's Warner.
Well, I kept looking at him and I was like, why is his face so familiar? And I'm like, okay, I'm going on IMDb to see who this is. And I was like, oh wow.
We all hate him.
Yeah, for real. But yeah, I loved how this one, that conflict, they were very upfront with each other, or at least he was very upfront with her. And same with Maggie's Miracles too. Maggie was very upfront with with Kaycee about why she just couldn't go there with him. So that's one thing I always have kind of an issue with some of the Hallmark movies, is there's that miscommunication because they feel like the other one isn't going to understand. But in your movies here, there's a constant theme where like they're having this honest adult conversation, and the other person who's receiving that end is like, oh, like I'm very hurt by this, but I kind of get where you're coming from, but it doesn't mask the hurt or anything. So
Yeah,
I really like that part.
yeah, good. I'm glad you do, because that's another thing I fight for. And I think, to be honest with you, just if someone casts me in a movie, they're casting me, not just the character, especially in these movies, because and it's really hard for me to play the indirect kind of scared kind of, and look, that's a fault of my own, because I should learn how to play that better, because I'm an actor. But I just, with these movies, you know, I was told earlier on, like, we like you, so just be you in these characters. And while I always try to do a little something different, they always kind of steer us back to just be you. And it always tends to work out. And for me not to be direct with someone, like, I'm sure if my husband were in here, he'd be laughing, because I'm pretty direct, you know. I try to be kind in my own Southern way, but it is a kind directness for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So my number 5 is Autumn Dreams. I think this was one of the very first Hallmark movies I saw. I'm a newer Hallmarkie, if you will. And I remember I missed the first maybe 30 minutes of it, and I just was like sucked in. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is interesting, because it's just that elopement, that whole storyline, because I kind of figured that out. And then I went back and rewatched it so I can get the beginning, and I was just really drawn in by it. And for the longest time, I did not know the name of the movie. And so I was always asking like Rachel or somebody, what is that movie with the elopement and they got married as kids? Because I don't know. It's just something about that in the season. I love autumn. I don't get an autumn in Florida, but I love autumn. So any autumn movies, I'm like, ooh.
I agree. I love autumn too. It's one of the best seasons, and it's beautiful. I mean, in the movies, they're able to pull it off so well. You know what I mean? Obviously, they can do that with Christmas, but I always think autumn is just as beautiful in their films.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure.
All right. My number 5 was Maggie's Christmas Miracle.
Okay.
And I actually liked that this was more of an emotional one. And definitely the faith aspect with the letters to God and his very like we talked about, his very innocent questions and things he was thinking about. And one thing with this movie, so Kaycee, do I cry during movies?
No.
I'm with you, girl. I'm with you.
But the first time I saw this, I bawled. That never happens. Like I may get a little misty-eyed, maybe, but I cried my eyes out. So.
Well, I think because it's the topic is, it hits so deeply in the heart. Or I think it hopefully it does. You know, I know for me when I was reading it, it was just so beautiful and like you said, it's the innocence of where these questions were coming from, and the love in which he had for his mother to write a letter to God. I mean, that's, oh my gosh. I mean, I'm like, if my kid did that, I don't know what I'd do. I mean, you know, it's just such a beautiful sentiment, and yeah, just bringing in the faith aspect. I mean, that to me always gets me. I mean, it's just as real and as heartfelt as it will ever be for me. So
yeah. So you know it's a winner if you made me cry. I mean,
I don't want to make you cry, but I do want to make you cry.
It's my turn, Kaycee?
I think so.
Okay.
Number 4.
Now my number 4 is Hearts of Winter.
Mine too. My number 4 too.
I know we're very much on the same page on these top ones. I thought it was a super cute movie. I loved how your character bonded with the little girl over books. And just how I think for this movie in particular, they got the timing right with making Victor Webster's character be uncooperative to like, okay, I'm gonna accept that this woman is gonna make over my home. Because if you wait too long for that, it can make the character too unlikable. And I thought they really nailed the timing when he kind of loosened up, and when he had that pillow scene where he was like bopping you with the pillow, like that was gold.
Thank you for that, because I produced that movie as well. So we really worked hard on kind of the timing of which he finally gives in, because I was kind of going off of what my husband would do, because my husband's a real guy's guy, and he'd be like, oh man, come on, somebody's coming here in my house, and it didn't matter. Like if it was a hot girl, he'd still be like, it's my home, right. What are you doing? But he would do anything for his daughter Leah. So we kind of pulled off of that, right? And to what point do you have to say, look, this is what she wants, and I'm dad of the year, and that's what's going to happen. So I think Victor did a really good job of that. And I'm glad that this was in your top 5 because I produced it. So the selfish reasons.
Yeah, I love the idea of you can't go wrong with HGTV, meaning Hallmark. I mean, I love those little movies where they do that on Hallmark, because I'm like, oh, it's my other favorite show.
Yeah, and that was my first, let's see. So I was pregnant in 3 movies. So I think that was the first one that I filmed pregnant. And then maybe there was only 2.
There was the Mystery 101.
Mystery 101, I was definitely pregnant. I thought there was one in between there, but maybe not. So maybe there was just 2 that I was pregnant. And then there's going to be another one that I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
So, they'll both have been on screen, but not.
Right. Yeah. Right. I also really love the casting of Hearts of Winter. Just everybody was so awesome. Like even Lauren McNamara and
I love her,
and Michael Carl Richards, Brendan Zub, like all of these names. I'm like, oh yeah, I recognize all of you.
Brendan was so good. I had never worked with him before, but I knew of him, and he was so good. I was like, you're gonna have a lead role at some point. And I think he has since then. But he was just another one that was really good and super funny. We just got really lucky, I think, with the casting there. So yeah, great.
Yeah. Alrighty, number 3. I think it's me.
Yes.
All right, my number 3 is Pearl in Paradise.
Yay!
Because I mean, I love the storyline. I love you and Palaha. The cinematography of Fiji just amazing. And I love the ending. Like all this time I was thinking they're gonna find the pearl, they're gonna be like, okay, this is great, there's gonna be some conflict with the pearl, but they'll expose it, whatever. But the fact that you had to basically put it back and just let others find it behind you all, I was like, well, that was a twist I didn't see coming.
It's great. And what a great message, right? That some things are better off unspoiled, and to leave. And I almost feel like that about, it's like the Santa Claus thing, it's like, let's just all kind of love Santa Claus, and, and even this world of Christmas and beauty and perfection, and not ever leave it.
Yeah.
Like it's like that childlike wonder, which I think we need more of as adults, actually.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I agree with you on the cinematography, and everything about the film was just so beautiful. And look, we had a lot of help with the location. I get it. But there was also a lot of talent there in that lane. So yeah, give props to that. And Gary, our director, he was such a funny guy to work with. He just, Chris and I really just found him very amusing, and we got along with him really well. And we all worked on the script day and night. We would come home that night, work on it until, we got it right for the next day. And then there was just a lot of cooperation on everybody's behalf just to try to make the best movie we could. And we were doing it in really bad. I mean, I'm talking about, there was a monsoon, I think on our first day of filming. And I mean, mud was sliding. People were sliding in the mud. We were trying, the locals were trying to build us like little sand walkways so we could walk. I mean, the fact of how we got the equipment to the place that we got it is beyond me. I'm standing underneath like a palm leaf or something. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna need hair and makeup for like constantly. And but we made it work. And but it was really, really an interesting shoot. I've never done a shoot like that before in my life.
Wow. All right. Jess?
All right. My number 3 was Christmas in Evergreen, Letters to Santa. You can't go wrong with the cozy town of Evergreen. And you have this like all-star cast with yourself and Mark Declan, Holly Robinson Pete, Rukia, Barbara Niven. Like you got everybody there. So it's going to be great. And I really loved your and Andrew Francis's character, Oliver. You had that kind of a brother-sister relationship, even though you were coworkers. And I thought that was just a really fun little touch. And as well as the storyline of healing between father and son. That really kind of made it really powerful, I thought. Yeah,
I agree. I mean, the cast was so lovely to work with, but Andrew in particular, we got along really good. And it's hard not to laugh in a scene with him because we just had the same kind of humor, so we actually wanted to make it a lot funnier than probably it needed to be. And I don't know that those scenes ever made the movie, but we would try. God bless us. We just try to slide things in there. And they're like, yeah, that's not actually how the scene goes. No. Yeah. Do it again.
Oh, fun.
I do have a question though. He skates during that movie. Did he do those scenes himself? Or was there that stuff?
I think he skated a little bit, but I think the really tough stuff was done by someone else. But I know that he does skate.
Okay, because it looked like he was doing quite a bit of it, and he looked really good. So
yeah, I think well, he's way better than I am. I mean, the last time I was on skates, my husband took me, and of course my husband takes me because he's an ex-hockey player, and I'm like, this is so not fair. It's not making me feel good about myself. But he got to show off in front of me, so whatever.
Well, there you go. Well, I think our number 2s are the same, and I know our number 1s are the same to a degree.
Yes.
So our number 2 is Angel Tree from this past Christmas.
Oh, yay! Wow.
There are so many Hallmark Christmas movies, and so when Rachel had asked us like, what are your, I think we were doing some kind of ranking or like, what are you most excited for? Reading the summaries of some of them, you're kind of like, what? And I think this was one of them. When I read the summary and I was like, I feel like this is kind of redundant, but whatever, we'll give it a chance. It blew me away. I was like so sucked into it. I loved the cast. I loved the element of the surprise. And with this one, with Aunt Mimi's Angel Squad, whenever they talk about Angel, I thought, I kind of related it to Charlie, like Charlie's Angels, because everybody could be like, hi, Charlie. Like, okay, Angel, where are you?
Well, it kind of was, right? Yeah. I mean, they, in essence, it was exactly like that. So good comparison.
Yeah. Jess, what was your favorite part about Angel Tree?
Oh, I have so many. But first of all, this movie for 2020 made it in my top 10. I think I had it at number 9 of all 40 movies that I saw.
Okay.
So very high overall. First of all, best meet cute ever.
Oh, yes.
Like that.
That's when I had a pause because I was dying. Because I wasn't expecting it at all. It was so original. And it reminded me of my grandma because when I was younger, we would have lunch with her every week and we would always shoot the strawberries at each other.
Right? I mean, we've all done that, right? Do you know how many takes that took though? It was just like, I mean, poor Lucas, I was just like, hold on, just hold on again. And then we'd do it and he'd be like, oh my gosh, just hit me in the face with it. I'm like, I'm trying. But it's, I mean, I wish I could do the whole outtakes of that scene, but
that would be
that'd be so fun.
Yeah, and I just love the mystery of who Angel was and how much comedy there was with you and Lucas Bryan's character when he kept sneaking up on you. And
That was not written, so we
really?
created that as well. So Lucas and I came up with that. I really liked the fact that he would scare me because it gave our characters history. And I came into this, and I remember I called him the night before the first day, and I was like, "Look, I don't know if you're down for this, but I want when they meet, I don't want it to be awkward. I want it to be like, this is my best friend in the entire world. I've not seen him in forever because I did have a guy best friend growing up. And so it was very natural for me to just like literally just want to like crawl on him like a jungle gym and hug him. And, so I didn't want anything to feel awkward. I wanted them to have history, and because that's what makes it real, right?
Yeah.
If they were really best friends, then they've done stuff like this. And so we would just try to work on the scenes and say, when can you scare me? And then the other thing that I really liked about this movie was, I think when I was walking up to the Christmas tree, he took the phone call outside, and I was sneaking up on him. It was written that I kind of fall off into some leaves, and then I get leaves on me, and he picks the leaves off, and I was like, no, that's not happening. I'm like, I'm gonna fall into the Christmas tree. And they're like, I don't know. Let's kind of, and Jess, the director, she was like, do it. If we can make it work, do it. And his reaction, I was trying not, thank God the camera was not on my face, because I was just like crying. My tears were running down my eyes. First of all, I was trying to hold the tree up and at the same time without falling again on the tree.
Right.
So it was the first time though in a Hallmark movie that I was allowed to do physical comedy, because I love physical comedy. Jim Carrey is one of my favorites, and he's always flinging himself around and doing this kind of stuff. I think he broke his arm in one movie that he did. But I don't want to break anything. I just
I'm glad you didn't break anything, falling into a tree.
Stuff and because I thought, well, that could get a laugh. And although I didn't know if they would use that or they would allow it, they did. And I'm so happy and I'm so proud of Hallmark that they let me have a laugh in there. It's like one of my physical comedy bits. But one of my favorite movies too. And I didn't know when I read the script, I was like, okay, this is a cute story, but I think it really comes to life when you pair two people together.
Yeah. And
then you work on the script, I mean, I've never worked on a script that's been perfect. I'm not saying anything about the writing. I'm saying that when you get on set, things are different, and you kind of either you don't conform and you just do what the script says, and then it feels awkward and weird because of the reality of the space and where you are as characters and how the other person is playing it. I mean, everything comes into play because you don't know how they're going to come in, and I change a lot of what I'm doing based on what they're doing. So sometimes the writing has to change. Sometimes, the actions of what we're doing has to change. So, it's really nice to work with people that allow that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another part of this movie I really loved was the Luke Bryan's sister, his character's sister that was in the military. I felt like that was such a moving piece. This was kind of more one of those fun Christmas movies. Yeah. And I really appreciate when Hallmark adds a lot of the elements and kind of meshes them together, because you do have the laughs and the levity, and then you have these like very sweet and tender moments or very emotional moments. And so I'm in Pensacola, home of the Navy. And so just knowing a lot of military people around me, it's just always something special. I always appreciate that. So
yeah, and I think especially I'm drawn to that. I mean, I named my daughter Army.
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, my husband's in the Army. My father was a Marine. I'm very much a patriotic person and have respect for the men and women that are in the military. And I can just remember going to Afghanistan, doing a USO tour and talking to some of the women there. And the number one thing that a lot of the women said to me, they said, when you go back and you do talk shows and you talk about us, will you give props to our husbands that are staying at home and raising our children? I mean, I just thought it was so amazing. And I didn't hear that just from one person. I heard that from multiple women. And so I just thought it was nice that you know, it was his mother that was over there, and her brother was, you know, doing the stand-up thing and watching her kid and kind of being the father figure. And yeah, it was really heartwarming. And anytime I can be part of a military film, I mean, Hallmark knows, everybody knows, I'm like the American flags.
Yeah. All right.
Time for number one.
I'm so curious, both of you.
Kaycee, should we just say it together?
Yes. And this might be cheating, but
Mystery 101.
Okay, now that makes sense. I was like, what movie are they going to say that I have not? Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Mystery 101.
We couldn't leave it out, but we did lump it together as one instead of coming through each of the movies for fairness and for time's sake.
Yes. Yes. At first, Rachel was like, no, don't include 101. And then I talked to Jess. I was like, how can we not include 101? I mean, we could just lump them all together as one big giant movie.
You can do that. Look, I mean, they're similar, right? They're similar in the characters. And I mean, that show will always have a special place in my heart, period, because Chris and I are just, I mean, we work together. I don't know that a lot of people know this, but probably, gosh, is it like 17 years now? But it was a long, long time ago. I think it was his first lead on a network show. It was called North Shore. Momoa was on it as well. I was on it. We filmed it in Hawaii, and Chris was my first on-screen kiss. And I can remember being so nervous, thinking, oh my gosh, okay, first of all, he's the seasoned actor. I was so green, so new. And I was just like, how do I, like, I forgot to kiss. I was just like, how do I kiss? You know? Yeah. And then you're just like, do you guys use tongue? Do you do not use tongue? I didn't know anything. These are questions because my husband too. I know, babe. I didn't. No, but these are questions that I guess you're supposed to know the answers to, but I didn't. So, and I was just really nervous. I remember because I had to push him into a pool in which I only had my bra and underwear on. You would have to watch it to realize why I was doing that. But I pushed him into a pool, and then I had to wrap my legs around him and kiss him. And only thing I could remember is, oh my gosh, I'm so cold. My leg hairs are growing. They're gonna stick him like needles. And that's the first thing that he said. He was like, what is that? I was like, oh my God, it's my legs. They feel like sandpaper. I know. I was so embarrassed, just so embarrassed. So we have a long history. So when we got together at Pearl in Paradise, we hadn't seen each other in 14 years.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah, it was like, oh my gosh, do we only meet in tropical places?
Apparently.
And then it was from Pearl in Paradise. I give Hallmark credit. They saw the magic and the chemistry, and they thought they would, they need to be on a show together, and which that was the birth of Mystery 101. And we both loved the show so much. And that's what I'm doing, filming here right now. And so I'm with you guys. That's probably my favorite as well.
Yeah. So my husband is not a Hallmarkie at all, but
I'll forgive him.
Well, he does like Mystery 101, and he will watch it with me. So that is testament to y'all's performance and the storylines too. I mean, we're always trying to figure out who done it. Yeah. Sometimes I get it right because I've seen so many, and you kind of figure out the tropes here and there. But there are times where it's like, whoa, that came way out. Like this last one that you guys did
was, The last one for sure was all twisted up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like mind blown. I was like, wow.
Well, you know, when I even read these, in fact, this one that we were just shooting, I had to call the producer last night because I'm trying to learn my lines, and I was like, I'm lost. Like, this is really confusing. You're doing a great job because I'm so confused. I don't even know what's going on. So I think even for us, it takes, I know I've read this one now a few times. Like it usually I go through and read them probably 4 or 5 times before I've got a solid grasp on all the details, because you have to remember every single little detail and think, okay, this and that. And it is, it can get very confusing, but I think that's the point of it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
To keep you guessing.
It's the fun of it.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you're allowed to say, but I'll ask anyways. Is this next one a continuation of the previous one that we just saw? Because they kind of left it.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you. I don't know if I can tell you either, but I'm going to. Yes, it is. It is. So I was really happy with the writer that he did that, because I'm like, yay, we have to have another one.
Right.
It's selfishly.
Yeah.
But it is. But I was also like, how do you not follow that lead, right? We have to know what's going on with her uncle. So yes, it is. And it's a really wild little ride that we're going on, into which I'm still trying to figure out what's happening.
Well, that's good. That's good. We'll be so confused that we'll love it so much.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel like each one just gets like a little bit better and better. So
Well, good. I'm glad that you guys like that.
Yeah.
And I actually have a fun story about when I first discovered 101. So I'm still pretty new to the Hallmark world too. And so for the mysteries, I tended to put them on in the background and just kind of, I don't know why I would do that with a mystery. It doesn't make any sense. But I would do other things and just have them in the background. And I think for this one, I was like painting or something, and I had to stop because I was like so engrossed. I'm like, nope, I just have to focus and watch this. It was like,
oh, good.
So from the first one, like it had me hooked. And so
good. Well, I give a lot of that to well, it's the whole team, really. I mean, it's having really great producers, having a good cast. Our cinematographer, Bob, we've had Bob for I don't know that we've got Bob on this one, but I know that we've had him for almost all of them. So they've got that feel to them, Cinematography is so important to a film, and a lot of people don't even know anything about it, but it's the look of the film, which you can go to the best restaurant in the world, and if you have bright lights everywhere, it's like, I didn't like that experience. But if you know someone who can light the atmosphere and it's beautiful and it's perfect and the right music and everything, just the feel of it, then it's just the better experience. So Bob did a lot, and yeah, it's the writing. John Christopher Plummer, I don't see how he comes up with all this stuff. I'm like, how is this in your brain? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if I have to write one of these, how is this in your brain? But it is. And so I give props to everybody that we work with. They work really hard for this show, and everybody loves it. And so I'm super proud of it.
Yeah. And I think this one kind of, I don't know, there's something about this series that just took it to a whole new level, because they started doing the whole multiple murder thing. Yeah. Which before it was just like, oh, one person died and then we got to figure out who killed that person, and then it gets all twisted and an almost murder. But then this one gets so intricate, and there are so many details, and there's just so much about it that makes it a very rich story, especially for a mystery, because I know that can't be easy to do, especially when there's so many mystery series on Hallmark out there. You have to make each one very unique and all of that. So it's brilliant.
Oh, well, good. I'm glad that you guys like it. Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is our ranking. So we have come to the end.
Yes.
All right. Well, I mean, I'll keep doing more. So we'll have to do this in another, 10 years or so?
Absolutely.
I'll get 10 more movies and we'll do it again.
We'll do another. Yes. So you are filming 101 coming up. Are there going to be multiple 101s that we can expect this year, or is that unknown? Or
I don't know. You know what? I personally don't know. Okay. I was told that we hope so, but I think it's got a lot to do with scheduling and also just having to write another one and you know, it because it goes through tons of hands and approvals, and it's not just like they can throw out a script and it's like
Right.
I mean, they really do. It goes through multiple channels, and so I'm hoping so, because I can be available. so we'll fingers crossed, but 100% we've got this one.
Yes.
And
we're happy for that.
Yes,
for sure.
for sure. And then one other thing that has nothing to do with the movies, we just want to tell you, congratulations on baby number 2. That's so exciting.
Thank you. Yeah, it is super exciting. We're just blessed. I mean, I didn't think that, you know, having Army it was difficult for me to get pregnant. So, I mean, we tried for 2 years, and I just thought, well, it's, you know, it's not in the cards for me, and we'll think about adoption. And there are other avenues, but the fact that we were able to have her was such a blessing. And then this next one, it was just like, whoa. I mean, it was such a surprise. I remember just talking to my doctor, and she's like, well, you know, you just know that you can get pregnant pretty easy right after you've had a baby. I'm like, nah, it took me a while to get pregnant with Army. I'm like, it's 2 years. I'm not going to worry about it. Boom. So she was right. So, but you know what? It is the way God wanted it, because, you know, I'm not a young mom. I mean, I'm 42, and it's like, and if I wanted to do this, I needed to do it. And I think Army's going to be very lucky to have a sibling, and she's always got her older sibling, Leah, but you know, Leah's going to be in her 20s, and Army's just, hey, you know, and Leah's going to be like, yeah, I'm going to the club. So thank you though. We appreciate it.
Yeah, your 2 are going to be close in age. My 2 are about 20 months apart. And I remember it was like so crazy, but now they play with each other.
And it makes it easier, right?
Yes. It so does. It's amazing. Especially when they're like that close in age. Because at first I was like, oh, what's happening right now? But yeah, it was one of the biggest blessings, because I wanted more of a, not like that close of an age. It was like more like 2.5 years, 3 years. But yeah, 20 months. I mean, yeah, it was great. I was already sleep deprived and all that stuff. So I was like,
just get it all knocked out.
Diapers and just get it all knocked out of the way.
Exactly. I think, you know, it's like, let's just do this because I just did this. And so at least I've still, you know, I've still kind of got my wits about me. It's like, okay, well, what was that newborn stage like? Oh yeah. I remember. I mean, Army's really good. She sleeps. She takes her naps really well. She sleeps throughout the whole night, usually, and she's just a really good baby. So I'm hoping that this next one, knock on wood, is just as good.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yes. Fun times.
All right. But thank you so much, Jill, for coming on. This has been such a pleasure to sit and chat about your movies with you, and we appreciate all the little insights that you gave us as well.
Yes,
well, thank you guys for having me. Thank you so much.
And for all our listeners, be sure to comment. Let us know what your thoughts are, if you would totally rank them differently or not. And be sure to be following us on the Hallmarkies podcast or Hallmarkies pod across all our social media, including iTunes and YouTube. And we will see you next time.
All right.
Okay.
Bye, Hallmark.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.